Hi there and welcome back to a new video.
Yes, this is should we say it's an Ade live, Ade and Lisa live, not live, and we're actually sat outside the Riviera, so we thought it'd be nice to actually record one here. So it's a little bit breezy, so hopefully you won't hear that too much, and this will be, but it's so nice to say. We thought we'd try and record some videos in different locations. It's kind of a bit of a challenge in the park, didn't it? We tried in Animal Kingdom, but we didn't find anywhere that was quiet enough, so...
But we wanted to talk today about finding your perfect hotels, villas, your accommodation when you're going away. My mum's now decided after her first time in Disneyworld that she wants to come back. So there's been lots of chat within the family and she's now looking to find her perfect hotel for when we go back. But it's also led us to talking because we've all been staying at different Disney locations, and it's made me realise that we take it for granted just finding hotels and accommodation. And it's a question that we get asked a lot. How do you find your accommodation? And I'm not just talking about Disney, I'm talking about when we go on road trips or any other trips. And
or anything really, isn't it?
I was going to say, it could be
even a trip in the UK, just
villas,
overnight somewhere.
Hotels, it could be Airbnbs. So we thought we would give you a bit of a chat and talk about how we go about booking and finding our perfect location and, I guess, accommodation, I should say.
Yeah, just to say as well, if you're new to the channel, you've found us through this video, welcome. And please subscribe and also click that notification bell so you get notified of all the new videos that come up. So yeah, I mean, where do we start? I mean, we kind of do this, it's kind of almost automatic for us now about how we go about this, but I think one of the first things though...
I was going to say, it's finding what suits your needs. I think it's knowing yourself and your family as to what your needs are. For us, it's always about location.
Yes, very, very, very true, yeah.
And what's perfect for one person isn't perfect for another.
Yeah.
So for us, when we went to New York, location was key.
That was just what I was thinking in my mind as well.
Whereas we've got friends that were happy to stay half an hour outside of Manhattan and get the tube in every day, or it's not the tube, what is it?
Metro. Is it Metro?
No, that's France.
Not Metro. Subway.
Yeah, Subway.
Subway, yeah, that's the one.
They were happy to pay less and do that, whereas for us, we wanted to wake up in the middle of it and have a coffee, but we compromised then on the type of hotel we had.
It was a lovely hotel.
It was really nice,
clean,
but for some
spacious
people, it was quite dated. But for us, that wasn't important. Location was more important, whereas friends of ours had a big apartment, half an hour out of the city, and they were happy to get the subway in. That was what was more important to them.
Exactly, so I think it's really what your needs are, so look what you're actually needing, and for us that particular example in New York was great because we literally were on the doorstep of most things, so that for us really, really helps.
Find out what's important to you. For us, coffee. I know that sounds really crazy. We want coffee in the mornings.
Yes.
So if we're near a Starbucks or an independent coffee place, it's something I always look out for.
I'd also extend on that as well. It's finding somewhere that you can actually maybe grab food as well, even if it's a convenience store, a small supermarket, or anything like that.
That's always important to us
because
as well.
when you're somewhere, it's the ability to know that you can get something, or there's a deli around or something like that.
So the question is, how do you find those places? It's always Google Maps for me.
Yes.
Go into Google Maps and it will give you all the information you need. It will show you the location and you can see the little hotel icons on all of them, can't you? And you can then search by photo, can't you? So like you don't just have to look at it. What's it called? It's not just the map image, it's the actual images, isn't it? So it looks like
gives
real
you,
life. Have a look if you want somewhere quiet. Obviously have a look, because it could be you've got, I don't know, somewhere really loud next door and you want somewhere quieter. If you want parks or you want to be able to walk.
I think, just to summarise, it just comes down to research. We really research all of our trips. Obviously some places we come back to we are more familiar with. So we know, if you're thinking of Disney, we kind of know if we want to do something and we want to go somewhere, we've got a good idea. If we're doing a new trip, we would obviously start that from scratch, and it's all about research.
I think also as well, the other thing we do is we have a tick list. Now this is something that we did as a large family when we were doing this trip. We each had things that were important. My mum really wanted a hot tub. We and my sister really wanted a pool. The other thing that was key, and this played quite a big, had a big impact on what we were searching for. We needed a villa with space to park three
Three
large
cars,
cars.
yeah.
And this was actually quite troublesome because there's a lot of villas we found and you could only fit 2 on the driveway, and you're not allowed to park cars on many of the roads around
No.
here. And that was really troublesome.
So some had like a
Communal car park, didn't they?
but that was sometimes a bit of a distance.
Yep.
Now, okay, that may work if you're not going to be using the car that much, and it's great to have it, but it didn't really suit our needs. If we could find somewhere we could put the 3 cars, great. I mean, obviously, yes, you sometimes need to compromise, don't you?
Yeah, but this was something that we felt we couldn't compromise on.
Yeah.
We wanted the 3 cars where we could see them outside the house, and we managed to find this villa. We can fit 2 on the drive, and the road has got little...
It's off-street parking, isn't
Yeah,
it? It's
it's
actually
really
bays,
good
parking bays in
outside the
outside every
villas.
single one.
So that was something that was really important. The other thing that was important to us as a family was having enough space to be able to all sit around the table and eat inside and outside.
Yeah.
And that was something we found quite a struggle. A lot of the villas there, looking on photos, there was seating for like maybe 2 or 4.
Bearing
but
in mind some of these were 6-bed places.
Yeah.
So you, in theory, could have
I think
up
our
to...
sleep's 18.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
so when you've got a table outside that might only sit 2 or 4, or you might only have 3 or 4 sun loungers, and you have a large group there with you. I mean, it's worked out okay, actually. We actually haven't really used the table outside.
But
so
it was something that was important to us.
It was,
We've
yeah.
all been able to sit outside, and the way that I found out this information, because it doesn't always give you that information when you're looking on Vrbo or Airbnb or these kinds of places, I sent the message direct to the villa hosts,
Yeah.
and they get back to you and let you know, and
Yeah.
then that's your decider whether or not you want to go ahead with it.
I think another thing, I might be jumping ahead of things a little bit. One thing you mentioned about Vrbo and reaching out is another deciding factor for us is also the cancellation policy.
Can I just go back to parking actually?
Oh,
I've
sure,
just thought of
sure,
something
sure.
else. The other thing when we've been doing road trips, again, is important with the car, especially if you're staying in a city. I was going to say like
Oh, yes,
DC,
San Francisco.
Savannah. We've always wanted on-site parking. So
Yeah.
in like Savannah, it was off-street parking. And it really made me nervous because you just think, well, what about if you get back at night?
And there's no parking off street.
And again, we found that really helpful, asking the villa host questions and things, but looking at costs. San Francisco, California is terrible for hidden costs.
Yes.
And we know that friends have been caught out, quite a few friends have been caught out by this, and your car park for your
It's even
on-site
in hotels,
hotel
isn't it, as
can
well?
end up being sometimes as much as $100 for the night.
Mm.
Because we've learnt by that by friends, we managed to find one with free parking.
Yep.
But really, really look into it.
Yeah, no, definitely. That is a good point on that one. Cancellation policy.
Cancellation
Yes,
policies.
cancellation
That's really
policy.
important to us.
Because you'd mentioned Vrbo, it's worth being really quite particular. Obviously, it's down to you, but check that cancellation policy. We will look at something, and we may have found the perfect place
But I
we want to
wouldn't book
stay,
it.
but we wouldn't book it because it could be one, they wanted payment up front. Now, of course, okay, if we feel that's correct and we want to do that and we want to go ahead with it, but check that cancellation policy. We will always generally want to go one that has 100% cancellation, at least up until a reasonable time beforehand.
Yeah.
Like it's generally like a month
Or 2
6
months,
weeks before.
yeah. Even if it means paying a little bit extra. I even do it with the Premier Inns. I go fully flexible. If a room is £20 or £30 with no cancellation policy, or it means paying, say, £60 but fully cancelable, fully able to cancel, I will pay extra so that I can cancel if need be.
Yeah, and of course, if we know we're 100% going, then of course the cost is low,
Yeah.
obviously. But that's what we do.
That's
we
just
kind of
something that's
do.
important to us. Obviously, cost comes into it as well. That's something that I guess I should have mentioned first.
Yeah.
Know your budget before you start looking as well.
And also, this is kind of not necessarily finding the hotel, but this is kind of related to this. Look at the hidden costs as well. Lisa mentioned the parking
That's a
moment,
good one.
but also the other taxes. You can see the prices, and depending on what sites you use, sometimes they list absolutely everything. But sometimes the price you see initially is without those added extra costs, would you say? So sometimes you can get...
Yeah, I was going to say, especially with resort fees these days as well.
So just be aware that
Parking.
you almost see like it's your whatever that final kind of payment is.
Yeah, check
because
everything.
it can change things as well. So just be aware.
The other thing I was going to say is read the reviews, but read them with an open mind. I didn't actually do that with where we're staying.
No, we didn't. You've read some out here, haven't you?
I read the reviews of the villa we were staying at, and I was happy. But then I can't remember what I was looking at. I was looking at something, and I got onto TripAdvisor, and I was reading the reviews of the resort we're staying at Story Lake, and I couldn't believe the negative reviews I was reading. We love it. We have not had a single problem. But some of the reviews that we read, for example, somebody said they'd been robbed, and that was the top subject
That's the
line.
title, yeah.
And then I read that they just arrived, the cleaners were in, they asked if they could leave all their luggage on the driveway, would it be safe? They were told apparently yes, it's fine, there's cameras. They went off swimming and all that, left all their luggage on the driveway, some bags got taken.
Yeah.
And I just think, well, okay, you may have been told it was safe, but I personally would not leave all my luggage unattended on a driveway and go off swimming. So I think sometimes you need to read things open-minded.
Yeah, I think there's others as well, and sometimes you could just be unlucky because some reviews were, for example, you've got noisy neighbours.
That was another one, and that is down to luck,
and
isn't it?
that is down to luck. That's I think we've had that situation, not necessarily noisy as much, but we've had kids running around upstairs, haven't we?
You can't blame.
And you can't.
No.
That's not a
Can't
resort
blame the
thing.
resort for that.
That is just part of what's what.
Staying
If it
there, yeah.
becomes unreasonable and it becomes too much, yes, you could maybe obviously do something. But yeah, that happens.
The other thing I was going to say is like reading reviews. When you're staying on a resort, especially when it's like where we are and they're individually owned, reading a resort and hearing that villas are dirty, you know that you're not staying in that same villa. So we're staying with a different management company to chance the person next door. So I wouldn't let that put me off either.
No.
If it was the one where we're actually booking, or it's a hotel, for example, that's a little bit different, isn't it?
And I think it's also maybe looking into if you know that is being managed by a particular either rental company and you've gone through Verbo, just try and do, again, your research. Try and see how reputable that company actually is, because there are some out there that maybe the actual companies themselves don't actually treat their customers very well. So just maybe look at that as well.
The other thing we were going to talk about is facilities and accessibility for your hotel or your accommodation that you're staying in. Make yourself, do your research, find out what it is you're actually going to have so that you don't get disappointed. For example, when we went to Disneyland Paris, we knew the rooms were very basic.
Yes, yeah.
We didn't arrive expecting
With
to have a fridge.
expectations of an amazing, but they were lovely. We loved staying there, but they were basic rooms.
And we knew that before we went,
Yeah.
so we weren't
I'll
disappointed.
stay there again.
Also, things like accessibility. If you need somewhere with wheelchair access, we know that staying at Bahama Bay, the resort that we like off-site here,
Yes.
or Old Key West, that there
There's
aren't
no
lifts. So that's something that we know ourselves. We have friends with a daughter in a wheelchair. They went to Hotel Cheyenne in Disney. They booked an accessible room, and apparently they were put in the only block which didn't have accessibility.
Now,
It
they
had
were
steps.
still on the ground floor,
But it had
they
steps to get into
to get
it.
into the actual building. Now, all the others, we know Hotel Cheyenne,
Yeah.
there are ramps pretty much in every single
Yeah,
block.
and they just got unlucky, and they were booked in this one. I mean, they booked an accessible room, and they couldn't change them. So just be aware. I don't know what you can do to avoid that kind of thing, but just know your
They
property.
did all they could, didn't they?
I
So
know,
just
it
again.
happens. But for example, if you are staying in somewhere where they don't have lifts and you physically cannot carry your luggage up, I guess there's people at the hotels to
We'll
help
be able to
you.
assist, yeah.
But it could be if you're, I don't know, somewhere else that's privately owned, like Bahama Bay, they wouldn't.
Well, I feel they would have people to help
think
if you
so?
needed
I
it.
don't
So,
know. But
the
just-
only-
Yeah.
No, go on, sorry,
No,
have
go
you
on.
finished on that one or not?
Yeah, go on.
Or-
Yeah.
The only thing I was going to say, I just see the letter here, check room layout. Now, for us at the moment, it's just the two of us that are travelling, so it doesn't really matter for us at the moment, but when we've travelled with the kids, and if you're travelling as a family, just check what's in the room, what beds are in the room. Because they're different resorts, do different things. Most of the American hotels seem to have at least, if you've got would you class as a double room or
Yeah,
a twin,
two double beds.
you would have two double beds. Some have one bed as in a double or king or queen bed and a sofa. I know definitely in a lot of the Disney resorts, if you're in like say the moderates, they have the two double beds in them in the rooms. That seems to be pretty standard across everything. In some of the DVC rooms though, you get a double bed and a pull-out sofa,
Yeah.
for example. and you also then get, or it could be a Murphy bed, or it could be a single bed that pulls out. So just check exactly what you are going to get. That's more relevant, I guess, if you've got a family.
We've done it as the kids have got older. Actually, we've had like a double bed, but then we've got the other double bed, but then there's been a pull-down bed for the other child as well, so they don't have to obviously share as they get older.
They'll generally show as well whether it sleeps, say, 4 or it sleeps 5, and that's really a good indication, isn't it? So if you see someone that sleeps 5, you know generally there's 2 beds, and you've probably either got a pull-out sofa chair or something, or as a pull-out bed from the wall or something.
The other thing we were going to talk about, and this has become very spoken about on our trip,
Is that because you need a drink?
is what facilities you actually have if you're in a resort.
And what times?
Yes.
That's the more important thing.
Twice this has happened to us, once in June and once this trip, where we're staying on site at a resort. One was Disney, one was off-site. We've come back, I think it was 7 o'clock in the off-site resort, or 7:30, and this here was, actually this was off-site as well, 8:30.
Yeah.
You know that your resort does food, you expect to be able to get some food when you've just arrived, and they've closed.
Yes.
So check your times before you come. We also find that things can often close quite early at Disney. We've wanted to go to a bar and they've closed at 10 o'clock. This has happened a few places now. Whereas some places, my mum was staying at the Swan and Dolphin, they close at midnight.
I'd say Coronado Springs, the bar was open till midnight.
And we're going to plan to go to Riverside at Port Orleans for dinner tonight, and their quick serve closes at 11. So do your research where you're staying, again, to avoid disappointment. Do your research and find out what times things open and close. The pools are the other thing, actually, aren't they?
Yes. So for example, in
Old Key West.
Old Key West, they open at 10, don't they?
10 in the morning. We're early risers. We like to get in the pool before going out to the park.
But in Wilderness Lodge or Copper Creek, the pool's open at 7,
I can't
believe.
remember.
But anyway, so again, check those type of things as well. And also, it's not just Disney resorts, check your resorts as well, just to see what times those facilities are open. Now, of course, bars may not be of everyone's sort of concern, but as I say, it does go for things like the quick serve. We used to find it when we stayed at Universal at Royal Pacific. Because they didn't have a quick serve, we had to plan and make sure that we actually had either eaten or we knew what we were doing.
Now they do that.
Now they've got a quick serve, it's great. We did come unstuck, didn't we, because we went to Sapphire Falls this June thinking, great, we'll get a milkshake. They stopped serving at 10, whereas previously it was open to 11, wasn't it? But they stopped doing milkshakes at 10. So just check things out. You're not going to avoid everything, and you can't obviously know everything about every minute detail, but just look into it a bit.
All comes down to good research.
Exactly, yeah.
Anyway, I think we've covered everything.
Yes.
That's how we find our resorts, hotels, villas.
If there's anything you do to find out how you find where you'd like to stay, do you do it yourself? Do you use a third party? I know even some people, when they book their holidays, they know they're, for example, in the villa, but don't even know where they're going to be.
Like Virgin Holidays,
they're just
and that
told
sometimes.
you're going to be in this area.
Yeah, I couldn't do that.
let us know in the comments what you do. Also, if some of these tips have been sort of beneficial, or you've come unstuck like maybe we have on something.
That's how we've learned from most things, isn't it? But we hope this has helped you. Let us know if you've got any questions and leave comments below. We'd love to hear from you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.